And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the fantabulous Kyber Empire. It's great to be in the Empire today, and I want to welcome you guys to today's video of ranking all the teams in Galaxy Heroes from the best to the very worst for April 2023. And let me tell you, we have changes, a brand new Beskar tier, new Omicrons, new characters like the Tuskens, the Sirjunda, and a couple other things that we gotta break down today. And thank you as always for loving and supporting this series. Last time over 100 billion views. Hopefully you guys keep on enjoying it, and I truly do hope that the new changes to the list will be a nice added addition. Last time we made this video, there was a lot of debate. It's getting a little cluttered, and I feel like the older bracket system we had made it hard to differentiate characters like General Grievous, which was a hot topic, from other characters that are a little bit better than General Grievous. But General Grievous isn't bad, but the other character's still good. You know what I mean? Hence the brand new Beskar tier, a step above Kyber, a step below Galactic Legend style teams. This is where we can truly let Kyber teams still shine because they're still good, but let the Beskar teams shine even more because technically they're a little bit better. So I think it's a good, nice, balanced, roundabout way of going about it. Or are we going to get people complaining that the teams in Kyber are not in Beskar? Who knows? Time will tell. Let's go on into it. What I want to do is highlight mainly the new additions to the list, the Beskar tier, new Omicrons that kind of juiced up a particular faction or two. And let's get the show rolling from there, huh? So let's do this first. Let's go start off by talking about the new additions to the list. Since the last time I made this video, we have a couple of new things that came on the radar. For example, Admiral Trench, the Tuskens, now an actual viable team. Night Sister Marin, Sirjunda, Genosian Omicron, Droidica Omicron, and we gotta talk about a couple other things there. So let's go start off with the Admiral Trench. So, maybe it's still too early to tell. I keep saying that. I don't know why I keep wanting to believe that I'm going to be more impressed than I than I currently am. Currently, we're ranking Admiral Trench as a Kyber level team. Without Omicrons, it's just an okay team. It feels like a marquee-ish, level-ish team. And territories, haven't seen anything too bonkers quite yet with the Omicron. So for right now, I'm just ranking a non-Omicron variant of Trench because I haven't seen anything too nuts that utilizes Trench. But in the meantime, for a conquest unit, I just haven't been crazy impressed. I was hoping, now with the Beskar tier, I was hoping Trench, even at least in territories, would be more in that Beskar level rank. Maybe with more territories. We've had a lot more grand arenas than territories, and that's where Trench is designed. So time will tell. Next thing on the list, something I have been enjoying quite a lot, Tuskens on this list. Since the last time I made this video, Tusken Chieftain, new addition, Tusken Warrior, also on this list. Those two have supercharged the Tuskens, primarily the Tusken Chieftain. I gotta say, the meta this year has been very interesting for Galaxiers. Normally it's speed, damage. But the recent additions to this year have been just chill, bro. Just go with the times. Let them take their turns, bro. And then you just start winning. I love Tuskens for that matter. They're beating a lot of these turn meter heavy teams. Imperial Troopers, a team that's right now in Kyber starting to lose a lot of its edge, at least in my neck of the woods. Unfortunately, because we're getting a lot of anti-turn meter things. So Commander Luke Skywalker cripples up against this. Even the notorious resistance teams we'll talk about in the Beskar tier can have struggles. Most teams have some degree of turn meter, and Tuskens are finally the biggest check we've had towards turn meter aside from Jedi Master Kenobi. So I think it's a solid Kyber team that can be useful on defense, useful on offense. Next up on the list, I want to talk about Night Sisters. Holy cow, they've made quite the comeback inside of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes with the addition of Marin, to the point where we can basically full auto a Jabba the Hutt team. Myself, without the Omicrons on, like, for example, Asajj Ventress and missing out on things like Talia, in my first Grand Arena experience of Night Sisters versus Tuskens, I hit it on auto, basically took out all of the Hutt cartel. Couldn't get through Jabba himself, but maybe if I had Talia, Asajj, Omicron, could have gotten the job done. This team has had a supercharge in its resurgence, thanks to Marin kind of being, I don't want to say Night Sister zombie replacement, but almost a Night Sister zombie replacement. A lot more revives, a lot more plague, a lot more protection recovery. This is the team that went from kind of a maybe I'll cheese my way once in a while to a team I feel like will be staple, especially on offense. Have to see a bit more about defense, but I have a feeling, with the Omicrons, if we have them, Night Sisters might be one of those scary teams. Sirjunda, next on our list here, kind of in a similar vein like Tuskens. I don't want to say in a similar vein like Night Sisters, although Marin does not need speed on her. She can't even get turn meter, and so it's kind of funny. But Sirajun is kind of similar to Tuskens, where you don't want to be fast. Again, designing a team that doesn't need tons of speed. You want to kind of be, it's more of a balancing act. You want to be slow, you don't want to be too slow. And the good thing is in Grand Arena, she can't get dazed. But the problem is if she can't get dazed, she might take a turn too early. It's a weird balance of factors. Nonetheless, this is one of those teams that's actually slightly considering putting inside of a Rhodium. I don't love it as much as Tuskens. I might be a little too generous here, but I have seen a couple very interesting situations where this character, let's remind you, unaligned force users taking leftover unaligned force users, mind you, Scavenger Raid, Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum, throwing them on a team and then just letting them ramp as many times as possible while the enemy rolls over you, and you can do some pretty gnarly stuff with it. So that's why I've been very impressed with Sirajun unaligned force users. I'm sure it's some debate. Someone can convince me, all right, this is more of an Erodian team, but I've seen this do some pretty interesting stuff, especially when a lot of people rely on heavy turn meter, high amount of turns in general. And this is a team that can get more durable and ramp up more offense. I think this is going to be a sleeper team, and I feel like I might be sleeping on this team a little bit, but I was like trying to not sleep on the team, which is why I put it in Kyber. I'd say this is a team that's going to be very interesting, having all these unaligned forces have a more permanent home. Sirajun's mini insta-kill ability like Captain Rex. I've been liking it. Next up, Geonosians. Now, we've moved a lot of stuff around. I think Geonosians without their Omicron, maybe at best a Chromium team. I don't really see them being an Erodium team. They really fall off the radar once you get past early game. Once you get into mid game, Geonosians really aren't a huge problem, but they're kind of a necessary component of playing this game with the shift, Wat Tambor. However, the Omicron on Pago the Lesser made things a lot more interesting, my friends, to the point where they had to nerf Pago's Omicron, give it the Qui-Gon treatment, unfortunately, rest in pepperoni, where it doesn't work against Galactic Legends. So it was beating Galactic Legends such as Raid. The durability of this team went up, and it's kind of at the point, if you're in an early mid-game guild, and even end-game guilds are pushing for this, Geonosians are now becoming a staple team inside a territory. The team that would normally be easy to dunk on, it's getting lots of holds for people, and sometimes determines the win in territories. And when you have Datacrons and, you know, all the relic materials gated behind it, extra wins means more stuff in your guild's inventory. Now let's go take a look over here at the best cards here. So there's a few things I want to point out here. Nothing incredibly new on this list. We've already had Zori the last time we made this video. We had the Trey Omicrons and stuff like that. But I want to talk about these teams just in general, why I think they're just kind of that step above Kyber. Now, with the best cards here, I think the way to maybe phrase it, almost like mini, I don't know if mini Galactic Legends are the best way of phrasing it, but you might understand what I say. When I put Star Killer on the list, when you put Dr. Aphra, all those characters kind of give you the vein. They're not quite a Galactic Legend, but they can compete with Galactic Legend, and it's very difficult to find counters for these particular teams in the game, or they just beat so many amounts of teams that Kyber just isn't quite enough to really give them enough justice. And that's why I think especially Dr. F and Star Killer truly defined this category. But then we have other options, maybe a slight step below Aphra and Star Killer. You have things like General Anakin Skywalker and Maul. Boy, do I miss getting Conquest characters like Maul and Commander Tano in a whole league of their own. Let's not open up that can of worms, but boy, do I wish we had more Conquest units like Trench that could be kind of like Maul. Nonetheless, we have Gas and Maul, and I'd maybe even put Commander Luke Skywalker kind of a step below where Aphra and Star Killer are. Darth Malgus, kind of the king of Grand Arena, at least one of them, and also very useful inside of territories, even without the Omicrons enabled on them. When we look at Malgus, I think it's probably more in that vein of Star Killer, Dr. Aphra, kind of a step below Galactic Legends, but definitely a step above the rest of the pack in the game. And I want to talk about these non-legendary characters or teams that we have here. I guess Trey is somewhat of a mini legendary. Trey Omicron has been a big deal. Again, that's another Omicron that had to get nerfed. It was dunking on Lord Vader. It's still semi-dunk on Lord Vader, even after the nerf. But with Darth Trey's Omicron and also Savage's Omicron, this is a team that could take quite a beating, and you're going to need some serious firepower to get through that style team. So Trey went quite a few steps up in terms of their jump. Resistance, I've been trying to push this with Zori. I believe this is the best free-to-play non-legendary team. Zori, very usable at low stars. This is getting tons of holds on defense. Things like General Anakin Skywalker, Commander Luke Skywalker, losing to this particular team, it could be a struggle shutting down the Zori team. All the amounts of turn meter, all the amounts of exposes throwing out there, the high amounts of turns that they're just getting, it can roll over you fairly easily. So I feel like people have been sleeping on Resistance, mainly because maybe Ray's not the most adopted Galactic Legend. And let's be honest, as you said, Resistance isn't the sexiest team in the game. That doesn't get everyone excited about playing the game. But nonetheless, I'm kind of putting it out here. I think out of all the teams, I know people said Imperial Troopers. I think Imperial Troopers, as much as it pains me to say, they're not on the same level as Resistance right now. And quite the fact of the matter is, with the current state of Grand Arena, things like Imperial Troopers, which I believe used to be the #1 best free-to-play non-legendary team, all those funny conditions, with the way Grand Arena is and Troopers getting boxed out, teams being anti-turn meter, I have a feeling Imperial Troopers still very good free-to-play team. Maybe not #1. I'm giving that over to Resistance. And then General Grievous, if you have the Droidica Omicron, boy oh boy, big deal. Again, it sucks it's not for Grand Arena. It doesn't get as much hype, but in Territory Wars, General Grievous Omicron has been a staple team inside of Territory Wars defense. And it's kind of one of those things, it's kind of like almost a mini Galactic Legend type of thing. And your usual bread and butter counters don't always work. And lastly, we got to talk about the boy, Reva on the list. Third sister Reva finally got unlocked this year by the Elite Guilds. And as we've seen, this is a team that's stomping on the competition, not just your normal run-of-the-mill competition, even the Galactic Legends competition, where it's basically able to beat pretty much every single Galactic Legend, some of them even on full auto, and some of her stuff was bugged. She is still kind of bugged. Her Relic 9 isn't working properly, so this team can get even more insane. It almost feels like you don't need a Galactic Legend, but let's be honest, you need a Galactic Legend to even get Third Sister Reva to participate in Rise of the Empire. So some folks have said it makes sense that she's this powerful because you kind of need a big guild, good rosters in the guild to get to that point. Whatever your opinion might be, overpowered, makes no sense, it's stupid, whatever what camp you might be in. I think it's not very good for the game. Nonetheless, Reva, especially in Grand Arena, now that they nerfed Trey up against Reva, there aren't a lot of ways to handle Reva unless you have a couple of select Galactic Legends that can make their way through Reva. Dominant team. Curious to see what's going to override Reva. It might be a while, but treat it like a Galactic Legend, even though technically it's not a Galactic Legend. It performs better than most Galactic Legends in the game. And on that note, ladies and gents, across that beloved Kyber Empire, that's going to wrap it up for today. There's a link down below if you want to download this graphic, put it on your device. We're not going to talk much about the Carbonite, Bronzium tiers and Chromium. I kind of was thinking just cutting those tiers out because you can tell I don't put any effort in those tiers. We want to focus mostly on Galactic Legend, Beskar, Kyber, and some of the Erodium teams. Nonetheless, hope the graphics helpful. Hopefully, spreading teams out and giving those extra special teams some priority in the Beskar tier so they can shine over Kyber, and also not worrying about making people in Kyber go down a tier was a nice addition to the list. Thank you as always for the feedback. I always read your comments on how to make this better. It's a great resource, and you guys are a great resource to make sure that this keeps staying a great resource. You know the drill. Leave that like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, my friends, that it's great to be in the Empire today.